Welcome to the Local Marketing Source Weekly Update, brought to you by localmarketingsource.com.
This week's Local Marketing Update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter at ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/Scott P. Gallagher.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source and bringing you our weekly local marketing industry update. Now, next week's LMS member call is going to be Wednesday, April 15th at 4 p.m. Eastern. All right, well, this week we've got, excuse the echo. I could hear a little bit of an echo going on. I guess I'm just because I'm working from home today. I chose not to go into the office, but hey, that's the beauty of being able to provide something over the internet, is we can do that. But today we've got a few different things, and before we get going into all the content and all the updates this week, there was a question that was posted in the LMS private Facebook group that I want to talk about. I think it's going to be something that has some good value, and the question is, knowing that video and good photography are important, how does one person do that for their clients? Well, I also thought that this would be a great call for local business owners as well if you're on the line. How do you create videos and photography and what's important? We're also going to talk about Apple Maps doing some new testing, Google support options now that allow business owners to contest reviews. So this is a fantastic move that I want to talk about. And finally, I'm going to end the call off today about everything that you really need to know about Google's new stance on mobile when we see the update in 10, 12 days. All right, so on that note, the question was it's stated, it says, I know that video and photography is very important offering for a local search marketing agency. Clients need videos and good photography for their office spaces and of their Google Plus pages. The question is, if you are still a solo practitioner like me, what is the best way to offer this? Find a contractor. This leads to the larger question that I would like to get as much help as possible, and that's how I can grow from a one-man operation to a 3 or 4 person operation. I seem to be stuck. All right, so I'm going to address the latter part of that question when we have questions and answers at the end of the call. The latter part I'm going to address is the question in regards to how do you grow from a one-man operation to a 3 or 4, and I'm going to share some experiences and some existing student experiences. But for the update, I did want to talk about videos and photography, and it doesn't matter. Every local business, every business that wants to rank on the local search results for the major search engines have to have or should be moving towards getting quality images. And just like how we're going to talk about reviews, reviews are becoming more and more important and more integrated. We've been talking about this for quite some time. Well, video is one of those things that are just going to get more and more important. There's going to be more tools available to businesses, and taking that leap initially is great. Same thing for photography. We see a lot of indicators that photography is very important to the search engine. So just providing good photography and the best practices is very important. So let's talk about photography first. Take a drink of my Coke. I have bought a case of Coke from Costco when I went shopping on the weekend, and it's just Coke from Mexico, and it's great because it uses real sugar, real cane sugar, and not all that high fructose corn syrup stuff. Actually tastes different too. Anyhow, so photography, and what we do in our first month is we create our business profile. We fill it out for our clients, and we create a template, and it's all the information. And that's so when we can go to all the different profile sites, we've already got all the information ready to put together. And of that are 5 pictures. And of the 5 pictures, some sites only require 3 pictures, but we try to get 5. And most local businesses can get different types. And you've got to think about, okay, what are the most relevant pictures for that business. Well, if you're a buyer of that service, what would be important? So I work with chiropractors. Well, it'd be nice to know maybe the face of the doctor. So that's picture number one. It'd be nice to know what the building looks like if I'm driving by and to get an idea of what I'm looking for. So an outside shot of that business. Number two, it might be nice to know what the inside looks like. Does it look trashy, and do I want to do business with them or not? So maybe the lobby. Number three, maybe, in my case, chiropractors, maybe a room. Number four, maybe the business itself works with certain brands and you want to showcase one of the pieces of equipment that they have. Number five, maybe there's some back end staff that are important. Number six, or front end staff. Number seven, restaurants would want to showcase different parts of their location. So every business itself, you can come up with 5 photos that are very important. When taking photography, you want to use a standard 16 by 9 photo. That's, your standard kind of widescreen type of photograph. And you want to use a high resolution and in focus. You don't want anything blurry. Blurry pictures are easy to detect. But you definitely want a high quality, and that's it. If you want to hire somebody to do professional photography, great, but you don't need to do that. Now, videos are also as important. Well, actually, let me get back to pictures. Like I say, you don't need to hire when you're an agency and your client is out of state. Let's say you can't physically drive there and take the pictures. You can ask your client 2 options. And option number 1 is they can do the photography themselves. If they've got a nice DSLR, great. Even if they've got a nice newer iPhone, you can get some great pictures with a lot of the new smartphones. You can determine if those pictures are suitable, or they can hire somebody. So those are the choices. With video now, we do certain videos. We do there's 5 different videos that we feel every small business should have, a part of the LMS plan. And those 5 videos are created over the first 6 months. After that, 1 new video a quarter is created. We could talk about after the 6 months, when that 6 months comes. But for the first 6 months in those 5 videos, there's a walkthrough that we call. And, that's just a 2-minute walkthrough that's sped up to 30 seconds with a little bit of music and a nice intro and an outro and the logo doing a little bit of animation. We'll do a CEO or an owner's talk. And during that talk, we'll want to share some passions and some personal aspects of the business itself to personalize the business. We'll have a manager talk, or maybe the owner, but talk more from a technical perspective as to what the business does and what the business hopes to accomplish, the benefits of the business. Maybe that's a product that's going to be discussed as well. We'll call that a product or service. As a 4th video, a short 30-second high energy commercial style. So it's not a talk. It's not a walkthrough. It's an actual commercial. It's trying to sell the video, sell the business itself inside of 30 seconds. So there's 4 different videos that can be done, or those 5 if you're accounting the different talks along with a product or a service type of video from a technical aspect. So those are created over a 6-month period. Every month, basically, you've got one video. Those videos are not that hard to create. It's just a matter of, from your perspective, the work that's involved is more so the script, which the project manager, you really can't outsource that. Once you do 1 or 2, it's relatively easy to create more. One thing that's works with our doctors to create multiple videos is we'll have a question and answer with the doctor, and we'll have 20 questions that we'll just ask them, and then we're creating answer videos. So there's a lot of different ideas that could be utilized that are relatively easy. Videos are also very good for reviews, and so a review video should be a must-have. And again, that's a user-driven content. It's just a matter of putting it together and doing a little bit of editing. So really, the only thing you can outsource is a lot of the editing, but a lot of the management is kept in-house. So I hope that helps. All right, let's move on to our update. Apple is now testing more reviews. They are pulling in reviews from Booking.com and TripAdvisor, and that's obvious. We're going to see a lot of that. But what's interesting about this headline after I read it is it made me think. Where's the future? What is going to be the standard? And what's happening right now? Well, it kind of reminded me of the microbrew industry. And, you know, the microbrew industry has been growing and changing for the last 10 years, but only in the last 2 years have we really begun to see some extremely high-end bottles of beer being put out in the $200 and $300 price range. And what makes these bottles of beer really expensive is a byproduct of another industry, and that's the whiskey industry. And what's happened in the whiskey industry is the beer brewers have realized that they can age these high alcohol microbrews in these whiskey barrels. And the longer that they age them, the better it is. But they have found the better the whiskey, the better the barrel, the better the beer. And these were barrels that were previously just tossed and burned. And now in the last 2 years, the elite whiskey brewers are selling their barrels at premiums to the elite brewers. Well, that's kind of shaken it out in a very much less complicated scale as to what's happening with all of the search engines that have access to the people, but yet all the back end sites that have access to the quality reviews. Now, what if those brewers created their own whiskey barrels rather than bought them? That way they would have the control of their own product. They would not be utilizing the byproduct of somebody else. But then you would argue, well, that's not their core competency. So maybe they can't make whiskey barrels as good as, let's say, Pappy Van Winkle does for these American brewers that are making these microbrews. Well, the review companies like TripAdvisor, for example, and Booking.com have been in the business for quite some time of providing reviews. That has been their business, but they're not destination sites. So Apple pulling in and utilizing these third parties and doing different testings, they're walking a very fine line, because ideally they really want to be making their own whiskey barrels, but they don't have the expertise to do that. They don't have that skill set right now. So at some point in time, they're going to be making their own whiskey barrels, same as Google. There's no doubt about that. But it's a matter of which of those that are out there today are the best ones. Which review sites are the Pappy Van Winkles of the whiskeys that exist today? And Yelp inevitably is the big partner, but what's interesting is Apple is now bringing in other providers that are providing different flares, so variety. Well, there's a lot of turmoil that's going on in Yelp that we've been talking about, and we don't know what's going to happen with them. So this is interesting. I think you're going to see Apple buy up a couple of these companies, the same as Google as well, that have access to their data, essentially. Now, Google, in regards to reviews, is now offering a forum to contest reviews. It's pretty awesome. Yelp has provided that ability to, provide feedback as well, but this is an aspect that is opening Pandora's box, where businesses can ask to have reviews removed. Now, what's going to happen is this is going to be abused. If somebody gets a bad review, they're going to want to get it removed. It's as simple as that. No matter if that review is a good review or not, there's going to be a ton of business owners that no matter what you say or do, or Google says or do, that business owner is going to feel like they're right. And so I think at first you're going to be able to get a lot of reviews removed initially, but the feature is going to be widely abused. I think it's going to be abused in a short period of time. So you've probably got a good month or two if there's any reviews that your clients have that you want to get removed. Now would be a good time to take advantage of this. Just go to Google and type in Google support contest reviews, and you'll get the link for that. And I know I've been talking about this quite a bit. The new mobile algorithm update. I've compiled 7 different things that you need to know about the update. So we're just going to go over some of those. And I think for anybody that's on the line right now, I'll just go ahead and share my screen so you can see these 7 things as we talk about them. But you're also going to see me moving my... I can't do that. No, because I got all my notes in here. I guess I could show my notes, but it won't make any sense. No, not fair. All right, so the 7 different things. This is also going to be published on our blog, by the way. This update, spent some time. It's actually a blog post that I wrote and putting up right now. But the new mobile update is going to be launched on April 21st of this year. Just a couple of facts about it. It is going to be Google's biggest algorithmic update. It's going to affect approximately 20% of all websites. Their largest update to date only affected 12% of websites. The next largest below that was 4%. So this is big. It's also going to affect a lot of local businesses because, well, for the obvious, that 60% of all local searches are done on mobile devices. And essentially, it's just put into place to make the web browsing experience much more friendly for mobile users. So those that don't have mobile-friendly websites are going to be punished. Obviously, the first step to know if you have a mobile-friendly website, Google's got a tool. It's just inside of Webmaster Tools. You can go and look at some of the different things right there. But here we're to talk about the algorithm. So those 7 different things that we've put together for the algorithm update that you need to know is number 1 is that, of course, the update is going to favor mobile-friendly websites. That's most likely going to be the obvious aspect of this update. Number 2, that this change is going to be significant. I'm going to talk about each of these a little bit in detail as I go through, but I just want to give an overview of the 7 of them. That the algorithm is going to look at each page individually. Number 4, that the algorithm operates 100% real time. Number 5, hey, if you're ranking well on desktop, chances are you're probably going to rank well on the mobile side of it, but sort of. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then what are search results, app indexing, and then finally what to do, what are businesses to do. Have you ever had popcorn and had one of those kernels stuck in between your gum and your tooth? Try doing a podcast with one. Talk about an annoying thing. All right. So, first off, number 1 is that the algorithm is going to favor mobile-friendly sites. That's obvious. So if Google's looking at 10,000 different factors, and we were to take those 10,000 and take the top 200 of that weight, and of that top 200, looking at some of the top 10 for local businesses are obviously, is the website able to present its information on a smartphone and a computer? Yes or no? If the answer is yes to that, then your website is inevitably going to be favored for local searches, almost to the point where I think there will be a time where if your website is not mobile friendly, you won't rank desktop or mobile searches, period. Now, with the algorithmic change that's going to be significant. Oh, remember that tool that I'd mentioned to check if your website is mobile friendly. That's what that number one was ultimately all about. I should definitely tell you about that. It is inside Google Webmaster Tools, and it is called the Google Mobile Usability Report. Now, the fact that the algorithmic change is going to be significant. We're going to see a lot of change up, and I know that right now, just based off the fact that a mobile-friendly website is going to have a responsive design to it. Most websites out there today that I come across for local businesses do not have responsive design. I think that factor in itself is going to be enough to boost your rankings. Now, we've always talked about, this is number 3, we've always talked about websites or search engines rank web pages, not websites. And that's always been the case. And this is also the case here, that you may have a front page that's responsive design, but not back end. Or the back end might have images that are used in it that are going to change the text size when you should actually have text in there. See the importance of that for that reason in itself, that images are going to change. So be very conscious of the text that are inside of images, because search engines can read that text now. We know they can read the text. There was times that they couldn't. They can read it now. So you've got to be conscious on images. And I think that that's going to be a big factor in this, image optimization. Image optimization is also important for page loading speed time, which is tied into all of this. So page loading speed, again, is also going to be a factor. Even though it's been a factor and we've tried to work on it with our sites for quite some time, it's going to continue to be a major factor. With the launch of some of the other update, what was it, Hummingbird? The Hummingbird update allowed Google's algorithm to operate much more quickly. And this mobile update is going to operate in real time. The reason for that is likely because of the social integration. And that social information is really important. If there's something that's going on or a certain event or something like that, and local businesses are wanting to get out, think of a radio station that goes to a local event. Hey, come by and check this out. They're getting the word out. It's instant. It's right then and there. And so sites and businesses that are producing social content in real time are going to get rewarded by the real-time algorithm. From a marketing perspective, we would call that engagement. So the algorithm is going to reward engagement. Another one, number 5 here, what's good for a desktop is also good for mobile, well, sort of. And we've gone over all of that. And if you've addressed the factors that we've talked about for mobile, but you've completely forgotten about all the other factors that we've learned about search engine optimization, you're not going to have a site that ranks. So this is just yet another layer of the best practices for ranking. And you've still got to follow all the best practices that we have for on the page and off the page factors, the best practices for profiles if you don't have your citation management in place. And those are all the different pillars. Now, number 7, what you should do about this. Number 6, app indexing. It's now a factor in the search results. And app indexing, it's a new feature of the algorithm that's going to be exclusive to sites, that are associated with Android apps. Now, this feature is somewhat already in play according to Google. how all that works, it's going to be relevance of what the user ultimately is looking for. So if a business is utilizing Android apps that enhance user value and they're being used and data from those apps is being collected, that is a factor that's going to be built into the algorithm. That's coming from Google. So you've got to think about that. Again, that's forcing businesses to think about their customer segments and offering value to their customer segments. So what should you do about this? You know, what's step 1, 2, and 3? Well, if you've been listening and reading between the lines, you know, the first thing you should definitely have is a mobile-friendly website. Number 1, responsiveness is important. Number 2, address any mobile usability issues that you're going to find in the webmaster tools. They're going to tell you about text sizes and image speed loading issues and whatnot. If you've got, number 3, if you've got an Android app associated with your site, make sure you get that page well indexed as soon as possible prior to this launch. And number 4, make sure you monitor your metrics carefully. 1 week before and at least 1 week after this rollout every single day. All right. So that comes to the conclusion of this week's update, folks. I hope that you've had some good content this week. I think it's been exciting. I was glad to put this piece together. Now let's get it out to our audience. But I'm just going to take a quick 30-second break here, and then I'm going to open the floor to any questions that you may have. There is the one question that I want to address is, you know, how a business moves from a 1-person to a 3 or 4-person operation.
Well, thanks for watching the Local Marketing Industry Update. We've got these things coming out every single week. So if you liked with what you heard, just click the button right above me right here to subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to get a little bit more, right over here, go check out localmarketingsource.com. We've got free reports that you can grab. You can even register for a free marketing course to get in and see the portal. Or just go ahead and follow us on some of the social channels. We'll be around. Until next time.